And I'm Bella,
Welcome to Holy Matrimony.
a podcast where we discuss my journey into the world of professional wrestling.
And each week, I'm going to guide you through my ultimate obsession.
Yep, but first, everyone knows what I'm going to do. This is going to be an exciting one, so let's get all this out of the way. We do release new episodes every Thursday. If you would please follow us on social media, not only does it help us out, but it also will keep you up to date on what's going on. We are on X and Instagram at Holy Matrimony. That spelling is HOLYMATCHRIMONY. We're also on TikTok at holy.matrimony. You can also find the podcast on most of the popular podcast players. Some of you are watching us on YouTube, so if you would like to do that, that channel is Holy Matrimony Podcast. So youtube.com/at Holy Matrimony.
Yep. Please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, follow. Just let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you, and it really helps us out.
Sure does. Are you ready for this one?
Are you ready?
I am. So this week, it's all about WrestleMania 40.
WrestleMania.
Yes, we're pumped if you can't tell.
Yeah.
So before we really get into the nitty gritty and the details, I would love to know your opinion on WrestleMania 40. You have obviously seen so many WrestleManias. This was my first.
Yes.
But you having this background, I just want to know what you thought about it, your overall opinion.
Well, my opinion is that WrestleMania 40 was awesome. Like, flat out. I was so excited. I never would have thought, like, honestly, even for a wrestling fan, 8 hours of wrestling in like a 2 night period is a lot.
He said 8 hours, folks. That was not a mistake.
No, 8 hours. But it was so good. There's a lot to talk about, go into, but yeah, I really enjoyed it overall. Like, I'm usually a person that has historically just been known to watch the matches, so I skip a lot of the stuff. This is the first WrestleMania in a long time that I didn't skip anything. I watched every single segment, and it kept me going the whole way.
And I completely agree. But, like I said, this is my first.
Right.
So it's probably hard for you to like rank or decide like what's your favorite WrestleMania ever, just because there's probably so much. But where do you think this ranks like on the scale of like all the WrestleManias you've watched?
Definitely on the higher end for sure. I mean, the modern era, like they've announced it a couple times, the Triple H era, like you can really feel it at this WrestleMania, and so this is definitely on the higher end for me.
Yeah, so since they advertised it as the best WrestleMania yet or so far, does that hold up at least somewhat to you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously wrestling is very subjective, and people are gonna have their opinions, and there's always matches that are better and things, but I think as a whole, it was a really good show. Both days were really good, and I think it delivered. So I would say it's definitely like one of the tops.
Okay, good.
Yeah. You don't seem like you're.
No,
You agree? Okay, good.
well, I mean, I just can't agree compared to other WrestleManias. This is
That's
my
true.
first
That's
WrestleMania.
true.
So I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I couldn't tell you if it's better. I guarantee this is a topic and debate that all wrestling fans will talk about, which WrestleManias were best. And. So I'm just not going to comment on that because I don't have the background.
Right. But I want to know kind of what you thought about the spectacle of it, right? It's your first WrestleMania. Obviously, you've seen big shows like Super Bowls and stuff, but 72,000 fans in attendance, like, what'd you think?
I loved it. I think that it definitely solidified and backed up why I'm into this and I'm on this journey. I think it made me fall in love with wrestling even more. It was so exciting. I mean, even just beginning and starting it out, I was excited about everything, right? I knew these matches were coming. I was ready for them. You know me, I was so excited because it was Pat. I wasn't sure who was going to be the commentator, but it was Pat and Michael Cole. Obviously, since I watch Raw, they're closest to me. But even with Corey, I wasn't sure. I'm like, oh, he's a SmackDown guy. But that whole dynamic was super fun. So I was even excited before it started. The promos, even the opening promo with Meek Mill, it got me pumped before it even could begin. Of course, there were some lows for
Mm-hmm.
me. We'll
Mm-hmm.
get into that, but there's also a lot of highs, and I think it just really gave me more excitement, and I'm even more into this journey now.
I mean, that's good. That's really it's a good show to draw you in and start that way. Was there anything of the show that you think like surprised you or like you weren't expecting?
I definitely think there was quite a few things. One of the things to kind of start with, because I don't think a lot of, especially wrestling fans, would get into this as much, but somebody coming into it and really learning wrestling, I think like the celebrity aspect was cool.
Okay. Yeah.
I've known before that there's been celebrities that have performed and they show up at the big shows like the pay-per-view type shows. I've known that. But I guess I just never knew how they like fit into it and really what they did. Without making it too like gimmicky or anything. So I think that was one of the really cool ones. Of course, like a highlight for me was when Snoop Dogg came out. I love Snoop Dogg.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Snoop Dogg, he's been involved in a couple of WrestleManias, and
Yes.
I think personally, I think his involvement this year, is better than the one he was in last year. I think last year was definitely a little more corny, and not as fluid. I think this year he did a really nice job, and it like flowed really well together.
Oh yeah, because I mean he's just cool. So his entrance was cool, and him like commentating on it. I think it just fit and it worked. I think they did really well. I think it also did well with the match that he did. It was the Bobby Lashley match, and I think it actually elevated that match in a
Oh,
way
for sure.
because there was like a guest ref there too.
Bubba Ray Dudley.
Yeah, so I didn't know who this was, but even he was really cool. So I think it was that like guest or that celebrity aspect that was really exciting. That I just didn't know how it worked and how it fit in, but it added to it for me.
Right.
Obviously, like the match would have still been the match without Snoop Dogg, but I think they just did so well, specifically like on that match, just giving that really fun, that entertainment aspect, and I just didn't expect that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Snoop Dogg definitely helped elevate that match and showcase that. Also helps that they're in Philadelphia, and Bubba Ray Dudley is the special guest, and he's an ECW original, which ECW is from Philadelphia, and so I think there's a lot of things that made that match fun. Overall, like really exciting, but definitely Snoop Dogg doesn't hurt that match at all.
No, I think overall that match was just the most like entertaining match to me. Just because it had all these aspects and the match itself was fun, but I think that that's just not something I really expected.
Yeah, no, I think that makes total sense, and I agree. I think that like the celebrity involvement helped every aspect the celebrities were in. I think it, improved what they did.
Yeah, because like I said, even that promo with Meek Mill, it was like so powerful and it got you pumped. Of course, probably my well, I don't know, Snoop Dogg and Lil Wayne are both really fun and cool to me. But we kind of knew Lil Wayne was going to come out because we saw him with Jay earlier.
Yes.
But that way he came out and he was like the performance to get Jay out there.
Yep.
And I think it just worked really well because obviously it was Lil Wayne. He came out, he did his thing. I mean, I'm a no yeet girl,
Yeet.
so obviously that's not who I really wanted to see come out. Knew he was though, but I think it worked, and it worked for Jay.
Yeah. I mean, would you prefer Lil Wayne to go with Jimmy? Because that wouldn't fit.
Well, I know that wouldn't fit, but I would have loved Jimmy to have a really cool entrance as well. But I think it worked though. Like I'm not mad about that. It was another one of those aspects. You see Lil Wayne come out, and I was kind of like, well, is this going to be like a full concert, like a full song? And I think it was just perfect.
Yeah, and I think that really goes along with like the new era and stuff. There's been times in the past where celebrities have done full concerts at WrestleManias, and it's generally known as like, oh, the bathroom break time. And I'm really glad they didn't do that because I think that would have brought the show down. You know what I mean? But like the way they did it, it made everybody hyped, and I think it was good.
Yeah, I obviously I can't compare, but I think that everything they did like added
Oh,
rather
for sure.
than like you said, it was like, oh, we're just watching a performance. No, like they all elevated something, and of course it
Right.
helped that it was celebrities I like.
Right.
But I that's just something that I didn't know how it played into WrestleMania.
No, I think that makes sense. Yeah, you don't know until you watch it, right? How that works. And I think everybody, again, this is a little different than it's been in the past. So I think everybody was able to kind of seeing how it was going to work. So I was excited as well.
Good. Now, another thing that I think surprised me,
Hmm.
going into this, there were certain matches that I was so ready for. We talked about that last week, who my favorites are, who your favorites are. So I kind of went in with this mindset that obviously those are going to be the big matches, and every other match, it just won't be as exciting. They might be good, but not as exciting. The other thing that I was surprised with or didn't expect to feel was how impressed I was with some of those other people or other matches that I didn't really know anything about or that I just wasn't as hyped for.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've said we don't really watch SmackDown, catch some highlights. So especially like maybe some of those SmackDown people you haven't seen.
Oh, for sure. But even, there were some Raw people that I didn't expect as much, but definitely when it comes to the SmackDown, yes, because I think the one I was most impressed of and about was the Bailey and Io match.
Oh yeah,
I've heard Bailey's name. I've seen her name because even last year I remember, coming up, she won Royal Rumble, so I've seen her name, but I haven't really seen
yep,
her.
she's on Wheel of Fortune.
Yes, that was the first time I ever saw her. And then Io, I just didn't know.
Right.
And so that match, I was like, oh, this is going to be like my lame match, or I'm not going to care. But then watching it, because I am trying to pay more attention to the actual wrestling, I think I'm really good at getting into the storylines and the drama, but I'm also trying to get into the actual styles of the wrestling. And so watching theirs, I was really impressed. These are two people I don't really know, but I think they did great. I'm actually really excited to see more of them. I really like their styles. Their chemistry together, their storyline, they drew me in, and that's not something I expected.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Io Sky fan. I've watched her in NXT, and I think that some of the stuff she does in the ring, she's like one of the best at it. She's super crisp, super clean, the way she does it. So I think that I knew she was gonna be able to put a good performance in. I've also seen Bailey. I like Bailey as well. But and so it didn't surprise me. But I'm glad that you were able to kind of find somebody to be surprised by it.
Oh yeah, and and I learned some things because I'm learning more about the style I like. Even taught me some things. I was like, I really like how Bailey like it. I didn't know the word for it. I was like, I don't know, axe or and you're like, oh, that's called selling.
Selling,
So I
yep.
learned something new. And I'm like, oh wow, well, I think she's really good at selling. And not that she's not good at the actual athletic part of it, but I thought she was so good at that. And then Io's just her athleticism is insane to me. And so it was just one of those little unexpected bits.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. It's always nice to have those in wrestling, like things that surprise you or stand out to you. And I mean, for me, I think something that really stood out, like I knew I liked him, but in this match, I think he did a really nice job. Was the Logan Paul himself, but the Logan Paul, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens match.
Yes, I that was one of the ones I was excited for because it was Randy.
Yep.
That was a prediction that I made that Randy would win, but then and you always thought it was going to be Logan right before the match. The moment they said, "Well, it's actually for the title," I was like, "Oh no, Logan's going to win."
Yeah, I didn't know you didn't know that.
No, I did. Well, still learning. So I knew, obviously, I knew there was titles on the line. I didn't know that one was for that match, so I was excited to see Randy, and then that changed my prediction. But I knew right then, and I wasn't mad about it, even though Randy Orton's one of my favorites, because I'm seeing what you're seeing with Logan. I'm very impressed with him and how well he does, and that was also an entertaining match.
Yeah, I mean, Logan, he's just really embracing his heel side. He loves getting booed. I mean, I've listened to his podcast a couple times when he's had wrestlers on, and you can hear how much he's putting into it. And I think it shows in the ring when he can hang with somebody like Randy Orton, who's a veteran, like 20-year veteran or whatever, and then Kevin Owens, who's just, in my opinion, like really great. He's got that intensity, and I think that all three of their styles, while they're all different, melded really well in that match.
Oh, I completely agree. I was excited because of who was in it, but I was also like, I've seen just a little bit from Kevin Owens and I've seen a couple now from Logan, but I could tell that their styles were all three different. And I think they did great putting that together. And, like I said, it also was entertaining. So I was impressed with that match. I kind of was expecting to be,
Right.
but it was still good that it was as good as we wanted it to be.
Yeah, I mean, I can go on about that match forever. Like that, like the entrance that Logan had on the Prime bottle, like golf cart with Kevin Owens, the Kevin Owens and Randy Orton one upping each other, the Randy Orton about to RKO Kevin Owens, and the look he gives. Like to me, it was just really like nice storytelling mixed with the great like bit of athleticism and stuff in there.
Oh, for sure. And that's kind of the next one. The entrances weren't as cool as obviously the Logan and Kevin Owens entrances, but I also thought something that stood out to me was the Mysterio match.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely more excited than I thought it was gonna be.
yeah, well, for me, I love Rey Mysterio, so
Same.
I'm excited. He never disappoints me, but knowing he was going against Dom, now we've seen this before, and Dom's always fun to watch, But, because it was going to be like Rey Mysterio and Dom, who, he's not as serious.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like Andrade and Santos. I just wasn't sure how it was going to play out in the sense like, is it going to be as entertaining as some of the other ones? Is it not? And it did not disappoint at all.
No, I mean I love Andrade. I've said that before. I think he's very underrated. I'm glad he's back. I hope he does a lot. And so like seeing him in this match, there's glimpses of him just I think being so good. Some of the stuff he does, and even us not really knowing the story behind this, it being on SmackDown and stuff. I think that they really kind of let some of their moves and some of their athleticism and the storytelling shine within the match.
Oh, yeah, and I see why you like Andrade more. Every time I've seen him, I've seen it, but every time I see him, it seems like I'm getting it more and more why you like him so much. And it's a cool storyline too. They have this little storyline with Rey Mysterio, Santos, all this. So I I was expecting to be impressed, entertained, just because I love Rey Mysterio, but it wasn't just him. I think the whole match and everybody in it was impressive. I wouldn't say it was the best match of the whole, 2 days, but it still gave me what I wanted from it.
Yeah, I mean I agree. I think that some of the again athleticism, they slingshotted one of their dudes over and just how far he went was crazy. Like the stuff that Rey Mysterio can do at his age, still is insane to me. And then I think that that's also another match talking about celebrities where they used the celebrity involvement really well. Like
Yes.
it was mild enough, but like it still got its point, and didn't overtake the whole match.
Yes, and we're talking about, Jason Kelsey coming out, and
Yes,
I'm sorry, I'm not a football fan, so I cannot remember the other guy's name, but they were both from the Eagles. Um, and
huge dudes.
oh yeah, but it did like they played it well with the whole Dom bit, and so yeah, that was another celebrity moment that I felt like elevated. It didn't take away from or it didn't get too much. It was just perfect.
Right. But I do have one more that I want to talk about. And you're not going to be too happy about this, I don't think. Uh, but the Gunther Sami Zayn match.
All right, guys, I've been struggling all week. These last days, my emotions. I had a lot of highs, but man, was this match a low for me. So I'm sorry. I'm a little sad about this one, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to finish the grieving process.
Being a little dramatic there, I think. You know,
I don't know. You saw my emotions that
that's
night.
true. It almost ruined the show for you, I think.
It almost did. The thing is that I've talked about my favorites last week, and I kind of couldn't rank them necessarily. I wasn't really sure. But then after that Gunther match, I'm like, he must have been my favorite because I was so upset that he lost. And, this obviously happens. I know it's going to happen, but I think it just made it so much worse because it had to be Sami Zayn that beat him.
Yeah, you are not a fan of Sami Zayn, like at all.
I'm not. So I know so many people are. I'm sorry, Sammy. I just, from day one, literally that first live show,
Yep.
he was one of the first people
Yep.
we saw, and I looked at you and I was like, I don't really like that guy. Because I think I even looked at you and I said, who is that? And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, he's like a wrestler. I'm like, really? And just since I've just never seen it from him, I just never get excited for it. There's like nothing, there's like the people that I like love to hate, like Jey Uso, Seth
Seth.
freaking Rollins, but it's like I don't have any emotions for him, and so going into this Gunther match, obviously I wanted Gunther to win,
Right.
but if he wasn't going to win, to me it was like it had to be Sammy. You guys gonna have anyone else? So I'm still really sad about that one. Obviously, I'm still a diehard fan. I'm with Gunther all the way. I can't wait to see more of him. So hopefully he can just tear apart Sammy in his words. But yeah, that one made me sad.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if I really do kind of think your emotions that day, if we didn't have this podcast, you might have stopped watching. Like you were that emotional about it, you
Oh yeah,
know?
well, and it was hard. They did that match right before the main event, night one, and I'm like, I can't even get into this. I did. We'll talk about that. But I was just so upset, and I was like, why am I so upset? Like it it just got me, and I mean that's just my boy.
I know,
I
I
don't like to
understand.
see him
I mean, I
lose.
really like Gunther as well, you know? I mean, and I've been a fan of Sami Zayn, but I think for me, not as emotional a response as you. Wasn't the biggest fan of the match. I thought it was kind of just meh. I like the fact that they had Gunther like lost it because he was being cocky. That's kind of cool. But yeah, like not as big an emotional response for me, but definitely good big response from you, which means something, you know.
Yes, because even with that, I looking back on the match, it definitely didn't even meet expectations anyway. And no, not just because Gunther lost, but I feel like in comparison to the other matches, it definitely wasn't as strong as I would have wanted it to be, or you would think it would be for being one of the bigger ones in a title match. I'm not really sure where I felt that, if it was them, if it was just the match. I'm not sure, but I do agree that even the match itself, it wasn't like terrible, but it just, I guess it wasn't to the level that I thought it would be.
Yeah, no, Gunther's had I think better matches just on Raw before, so
For sure. Well, I don't want to dwell on that too long because it'll make me sad. So let's go back up
back up, okay.
and let's talk about. We're going to really get into our favorite matches and to us, the biggest matches. But we'll start with the ladder match.
That ladder match was so much fun to me. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen quite a few of them before, obviously, so like, but I kind of knew what to expect, but it's still fun every time.
Anytime I watch a ladder match, my body's in pain watching those ladders. Like, I don't know why they agree to get thrown into those ladders and stuff. I mean, it's always exciting. I love to see
Mm-hmm.
it. I'm just like, my body hurts for them.
Yes. I also have to take some credit because I was at least half right with my prediction, right?
You were?
I said that the Miz and R-Truth were going to get the tag titles. I didn't realize they were going to split the SmackDown and Raw titles, but I knew they were going to get them.
Yeah, I guess Judgment Day, probably because I'm biased. That's, I'm a big Damien fan. But when you've said that before. I've been saying this for a long time. It's going to be them. You said that it was going to be Miz and R-Truth, and then I remember when it first came out and it showed the title split and they had to get both. Immediately you said, "Oh, they're going to split it." And obviously I don't know all about this. You had to kind of explain, but once you did, I was like, "Oh yeah, they're for sure going to split it." And then in my mind I was like, "Oh, they're not going to win." Because I just don't see why they're going to have Judgment Day going from holding both titles to only one.
Right.
So then the next prediction was, well, who's going to get each? And we kind of went back and forth, but you stuck with the Miz and R-Truth. And, I love New Day as well. But I was like, well, if Judgment Day's not going to get it, I want it to be Miz and R-Truth. Because, you just got to love both of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're so
They're so
fun.
much fun. Yeah. So I mean, I think that like I was surprised at the other teams and who won it. Um, but Miz and R-Truth definitely shined for me in that match and some of the stuff they did there.
Oh, yeah. R-Truth had me cracking up. He thought it was a tag team match.
Getting tagged in by the
And
Miz.
Miz tags him in anyway. But how do you feel about the SmackDown winners?
Fine, I guess is the best word. I like Austin Theory. I think he has potential. Haven't watched him lately. Grayson Waller's okay. I don't really know him that well. Um, so I mean, they have their team names A Town Down Under. It's pretty cool. Um,
Yes, it is.
but I guess it makes the most sense. I would have preferred if a SmackDown team was gonna win it. I would have preferred Pete Dunne and the big strong boy Tyler Bate.
Oh, he was a big, strong boy, too.
He was.
I did not know that was his nickname, but I found out
When we
why.
picked, I can't remember who it was. We picked him up with the ladder on top of him and did the airplane
Spun
spin.
him around, yep.
Yep.
Even without knowing too much about the SmackDown people, I knew Pete Dunne. You love him.
I love Pete Dunne.
But I've seen him. I knew who Austin Theory was, and I had no idea who Grayson Waller was. But watching that, I don't think there was a weak link in that match. I think the whole match was good. I liked the flow of it. It was great.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that some of those spots were crazy. The spots on breaking the ladder on the outside, JD going through the table, like
Oh yeah, they did so good. I loved it, and I'm glad you did too.
yeah. So I'm sorry that Judgment Day lost, but
Yes.
I think we made up
But
for it at some point, later on.
yeah, so that's a nice little transition into the next biggest match we want to talk about. And that's, of course, my boy Drew against Seth freaking Rollins.
Seth freaking Rollins. Before we start the match, can we talk about those entrances?
Oh, did they not have the best entrance? Yes, of course it was cool. Like Lil Wayne came out for Jay, but they like Drew comes out, and I was like, that's cool. Because, Drew's not like flashy like that. But I was like, oh, it like fits his whole thing. Thought it was so good. And then Seth comes out, and honestly, here's the thing: I expect nothing less
Right.
from Seth. Like, I don't know who plans this. I don't know who does this. That fit him so well, and it just made it so exciting. And I think it's one of those things. Every time Drew is doing something, Seth just loves to annoy him. And it was like, oh, well, how do we annoy him? Well, we have a bigger entrance. He's wearing crazy stuff, and his take's a little too long. It was just even that was good.
Yeah. So those entrances started off right away. I mean, Seth's wearing something crazy, like even crazier than night one. Like,
Yeah, and did we think he could get crazier than night one?
nope,
No, but he did.
he
He
did.
did. And of course, then that leads into, that's not the only part we liked about it. The actual match itself.
Yes. I mean, Drew and Seth, in my opinion, can't put on a bad match. Like it'd be impossible. Their chemistry is really good. I feel like they've had so many matches and they just keep delivering every time. And so like, I mean, obviously this one was satisfying because of the end, but yeah, it was just like really just good. Like told that story of Seth being hurt, and I loved it.
And I mean, obviously, I agree. I didn't realize when I first was like, oh, I like Drew. I didn't realize, like, oh, well, he's also a good wrestler. And, of course, people are going to have their opinions who's better and which matches were better. But from what I'm seeing, like, the more and more I'm learning and watching, they are just so good. And they're good at every aspect of the match. And I think I really love seeing them. And they really didn't disappoint for, the biggest night of the year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, their chemistry is great. I want to know how you felt right when Drew got the win. Right when they counted three, how did you feel?
Oh, I mean, you know me, I was on edge the whole time anyway. And I like knew it. And I was like, I was counting at home, 1, 2, 3. And I was like, finally, because
Yep.
he's been wanting it. That's why I originally liked him. It was the original promo of him talking about the last WrestleMania he won. It was in COVID. There was no one there. And I think literally right when he won, I was like, he did it. He finally did it in front of people. And I think, like the emotions were good. I was obviously happy because he's my boy. He had it for 5 minutes and 46 seconds. For those of you who don't know, we'll explain. But man, those were some good 5 minutes and 46 seconds, weren't they? And, him celebrating with his family, everything. But then he just had to look at CM Punk, didn't he?
Yep, that comes in my boy, CM Punk.
Which he was there the whole time because he
Yes,
commentated.
yes, which he's always great at commentary, obviously, but yeah, like as soon as he went to him, I was like, oh, something's gonna happen. Because I love CM Punk, and I was so excited. And I think just like the moment of Drew staring at him and CM Punk just like making fun of him, like not taking it seriously, to me, like that was like such a good moment.
Oh, it was, and we actually made the prediction for this match that Drew would win
Yes.
and that somebody would be cashing in. And I think like when he won, because it like took a while of him celebrating, I was like, maybe not, maybe not. And then he went to CM Punk, and I think I got so into like him and CM Punk that obviously my emotions just skyrocketed the moment you heard the music and you saw that purple.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and we both got up
Oh yeah.
because we're like, he's cashing in, he's cashing in. We're talking about Damian Priest. But of course, my emotions were like this roller coaster. Well, it kind of wasn't a roller coaster. I didn't know what to feel because here's Drew. He won it. I wanted Drew to win. He's one of my favorites. But then here's my other favorite, and it's Damian, and I've been wanting him to cash in. How many times do I bring up him cashing
Oh,
in?
all the time. You're like, when's he gonna cash in? When's he gonna cash in?
Yes, and I was like, so he's finally cashing in. So, and it was like this hype moment, and so we were so excited. But I'm like, wait, am I supposed to be sad and feel bad? Am I supposed to be excited? And I think overall I was excited because I still give it. Drew win. He won.
Drew
Drew
won.
won. So it's not
No,
that he didn't win,
not for long, but he won.
but he did. So he did what he said he was going to do. And then Damian finally got his moment. Not only did he cash in, but he won.
That's your welcome to your first Money in the Bank cash in. That's how they get sometimes. It's a roller coaster of emotions. You don't know how to feel. They're always exciting. So,
Yes. I mean, if it
know,
was on Seth, I would have been even more excited.
oh, of
But I would have
course.
been sad because Drew lost. And so it's this weird emotion, and I'm not sure. So I'm proud of both of them because, like I said, Drew did win. And then Damian finally cashed in, and it was so good. He came out by himself. He didn't do any tricks with the Judgment Day. He just did it.
Yep. I mean, I think for me, the CM Punk part, him beating Drew up and then Damien coming out, it was a nice moment for Damien. I also like that he won and run. You know what I mean? He won and then ran, and then
Yes.
just got to celebrate with the Judgment Day. Like that was a cool moment. Like on the stage, it looked really cool, and I think it was good for him. And like story wise, it's gonna have a lot for a lot of fuel in the fire for Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, because we'll talk about that probably in next week's episode. But a lot of, now there's going to be stuff for Damien in the Judgment Day. But even though, like I said, I'm still happy for Drew. But with this, I think it's just going to give him more of that escalation into his storyline with like CM Punk. And I'm excited to see where he goes now. And I love when Drew's mad. I think that's when he shines to me.
Oh
So
yeah,
I'm just excited to see more of him now too. But you still won, Drew. I
yep,
acknowledge that.
yep. And I mean, I'm excited because I know he's gonna blame CM Punk for it, but
Oh, well,
can't
yeah.
wait.
Yeah, and you just love CM Punk. So we're both going to be really excited for that whole storyline.
Yes. But speaking of us both being real excited, probably should talk about, you know, the probably the biggest tag team match in WrestleMania history.
And they kept saying that. Is it to you, or is it hard to rank still?
I mean, it's The Rock and Roman Reigns. It has to be, you know.
Which, I mean, I agree. We know. I talked about this last week. I love The Rock. Obviously, Roman is one of my other favorites. And just the whole lead up. I mean, man, they've been building to it. So, of course, I was super excited. You
You,
know,
you threw your ones out right away.
oh, always, I acknowledge my tribal chief. Um, you know, Pat and Corey were on it with me, so I was happy. But I think, but even, because Cody is your favorite.
Yes.
So seeing Cody and, I just love to hate Seth, but man, poor Seth, But
Seth got beat up a lot
yeah,
over the weekend.
he just got ragged on. But I mean, it was just so good. So what did you feel about night one's main event?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was good. I think it was a very much like a throwback to like old school matches. You know what I mean? They went to the crowd. They just kind of fought all over the place. I think it was like, at The Rock at his best. Not only like physically, he was good in the ring, but also like yelling at the ref to be like, "You count, you're fired." Like such good things that like, yeah, yeah, this is what professional wrestling is.
No, every time I see The Rock, he reminds me why I loved him, even when I was young and didn't know much and was watching it. I think he's just so good at what he does. He's so good at just being bad and like cocky, and he's just incredible at it. I don't think anyone does that better than him, personally.
No, I mean that's why he does it, right? And so I mean, I think he could have easily like phoned in. It's one match. It's a tag team match. He could have let Roman do the work and kind of just. No, he was in it. Like he was in the match.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
fighting the whole time.
No, for sure. And I mean, how do you feel that not only was he just fighting the whole time, but he pinned your boy?
So I figured that Cody and Seth would lose because it made sense to do Bloodline rules the next day. I didn't think that The Rock would pin Cody though. I figured one of Rock or Roman, one of them would pin Seth.
Which, yes, and because we were talking about that, and I said, "Oh no, he's gonna pin
Yeah,
Cody." Not only because it doesn't make sense for Roman to pin Cody
right.
with them having a match the next day, but The Rock has been building this thing up with Cody, and he was taunting Mama Rhodes, he was doing all this stuff, so I felt that that was gonna happen. Obviously, our prediction was right on that because we did predict that Cody and Seth would lose, but I don't think that made it any less. Like we were there to see how we were gonna get there.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I think so. I think it overall like was good. It like left on a good cliffhanger going into night two. You know what I mean? Like the look of Cody's face, like when he lost, like he knew it.
Yes, and sorry for all the Cody fans and for you, but I was so excited because I'm like, yes, Bloodline rules. Like, we're going in. Oh, I was ready.
Yep.
Now I wasn't ready enough,
No,
but I was ready.
because that main event at night two. What'd you think of it?
Uh, what did I not think of it? Jeez, I was so excited. First of all, like their entrances were also cool. Cody, his mask.
That mask was so cool.
And just every time Cody comes out, he's so good at that. But Roman.
Yeah, Cody, I'm out there in the living room doing his, you know what I
Oh,
mean, like
singing
singing
his
his
song.
song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm on singing his song too. So, obviously the crowd was excited. But then yes, Roman came out, and his entrance was like so good too because it's like, yeah, he has like a live performance going on for his. But he just walks out there like, yeah, here I am. It doesn't have to be flashy. He doesn't even have to dress flashy. He just says, while I'm here, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's so cool. It's just it's like yeah, like you paid to see me. That's why I'm here. Like you know what I mean? Like
And I did. I
you-
did. I mean, I didn't pay to see, but I mean,
yeah,
kind of. But no, that's what I was there for, was to see him. And he's
yeah,
also somebody who just doesn't disappoint. His whole like vibe
yeah,
is just, that's what it like got me hooked on him in the first place.
yeah.
And I don't think he disappointed.
No. So the match itself, though, to me, like again, old school. It was a little slow at start, but not a bad slow. You know what I mean? It was the slow. They let it build, and then once it kicked into gear fully, and so I loved it.
Yes, and I mean, I did too. We knew the whole time, well, where's the bloodline rules going to play in? And I like that they really gave them their moment first. Like for a while, like Cody and Roman had their thing, but it was also exciting because the whole time you were waiting, like, well, when is it coming? When is it coming? Somebody's coming. We know this, and so it was exciting when Jimmy shows out of nowhere,
Yeah, I don't know where he came from.
and I was like, yes, we're here, and I know you were happy because Cody had to go down a little bit then, but it was just like so exciting. I didn't know how much more exciting it would be, but it was cool. And you'll have to tell me what you think, because obviously we saw Jimmy and Jay fight the day
Yes,
before.
yes,
But I also just like, Jimmy comes out, does his thing. Jay immediately is going to come out, obviously,
yep.
and just runs over to him. And it's like over before it started almost.
Oh yeah, I mean that was like unexpected for me that they I thought they're gonna fight or whatever. No, it was just run each other, spear, they're off the stage, they're through some tables, and they're out. They're done. You don't see them again. Like
Yes.
that was pretty cool to me. It's like, oh, okay, cool. We're gonna just eliminate somebody right off the bat.
Yeah, and I thought that was perfect, especially because they just had a fight, and I was waiting for Jimmy to come back at him, but it kind of was unexpected in a way, but I also think it was perfect. Just take each other out and be done.
Yes. And speaking of getting taken out, Seth Rollins, man, that dude got beat up. He, he came out in the Shield gear. Like he had to get the whole Shield gear on just to get beat up.
I know, poor Seth. I give it to him though. He fought and fought, but I mean, what was he gonna do? Because you had Roman out there. I'm pretty sure Solo was out there by then.
Yeah, yes, I'm going to load out of order here. So
Yeah.
my apology, but
And Solo was on. Once again, he came out of nowhere. And then, I mean, what was Seth gonna do? He
uh,
just, I give it to him. I'm proud of him.
yeah. But so then Solo comes out, right? And I mean, we're right away we're talking about who's going to come out next. Like, and I mean, I think I guessed who was going to come out next, but even though you guess it, it's still so good to see.
Oh yeah, because the moment that music played,
John Cena.
yeah, it's John Cena for anybody who's never heard that.
Yeah.
But you had said, you were like, I think it's gonna be John Cena, and I was like, really? Like, we'll see, But then it still was exciting the moment you heard it.
John Cena just makes me happy. I just smile every time I see him.
Oh yeah, he's great. But then it was exciting because he comes out. I'm pretty sure he just takes out Solo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he
Oh yeah, yeah.
takes out Solo right away, and then all of a sudden,
There it is.
the Rock's music.
Yep. And we knew he was coming. I just didn't know when. Now you guessed that he was going to come next because of John Cena.
Because of the history, yes.
And here I was again. I was hyped, and I love John Cena, but I was like, oh yeah, I was like, Rock, go get him. I was
Rock
so
comes out in his
excited.
bell bottoms that he's wearing for some reason.
Oh yeah, I mean his outfits have been fantastic, but I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna see it. We're gonna see it. And I'm pretty sure everybody was excited to see John Cena versus The Rock in a way. And then The Rock did not disappoint me. Sorry, John, but he didn't disappoint me.
Yeah, but you turned on the Rock pretty quick when you heard another noise, another song there.
I I didn't know I could.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were gonna do that to me, and you didn't either.
I did not. No, that was a surprise. What came next was a surprise to me.
Yeah, the moment you heard that bell or gong, what is
The
it?
gong.
The gong.
Yep.
And I said, oh my gosh, I got up.
Yep.
I got up even faster than when Damien came out. And I said, there's no way this is happening. The lights went off. And for those who don't know, it's because my boy, The Undertaker, came out. And not only was it like, oh, wait, The Undertaker's here, but it's the way he came out. Because,
Yep.
like I said, you hear it, lights go out, you hear it again, lights come back, and The Rock's looking around, and there's just The Undertaker
Right
just
behind.
standing behind him menacingly.
Yep.
And yeah, I turned on The Rock fast. I'm sorry. I still love you, Rock, but oh man, was I excited for him to just take him out.
And he did. It was
Oh,
one choke slam, lights go out, they're both gone.
it was a big choke slam
It
too.
was.
And then yeah, when those lights went out, I was like, ah, and then they were just gone, disappeared. I was literally like a little kid with like a magic trick, like, what happened? How did they do this? Where did they go?
Where'd they go? Where'd they go?
I was like, oh my gosh, are we gonna see it again? And so, I mean, at that point, my emotions were just at its peak, and the rest of the match didn't disappoint. Still, well, except there was another one of my people who lost, but I expected this one. We
Mm-hmm.
predicted that Cody was winning, but it was we had this prediction, we had this expectation. We were along for the ride, but we did not know they were going to take us for such a ride.
Yeah, no, for sure. That again, didn't expect the Undertaker at all. And then, you know, it finally happens that Cody hits the crossroads 3 times, and you still can't believe it until the bell rings and it's like, it's true, it happened.
Yeah, because I think I was almost like I knew it was happening, but I was like, maybe there's going to be more. Roman's going to come back again, and then when it happened, I was even like, oh, it's done.
Yep.
Like it's happened. Obviously, I would have preferred Roman to win, but it made sense. It worked out, and I was even happy for Cody.
Yeah, he finally finished his story.
Oh, and that crowd. I don't know what the crowd would have done if he didn't finish the story, but I don't know if I've ever seen 72,000 whatever people so happy.
Oh yeah, the crowd was insane. And then I mean, he's in the ring, gives his speech, brings people out. They just celebrate him. You could just tell how happy everybody is. Like Triple H comes out. Like they definitely like left the people happy.
Oh, for sure. Now, Roman, I still acknowledge you. I'm still here for it. I'm a
I mean,
Bloodline fan.
he said on that podcast he was gonna quit.
I hope not. I'm really hoping not. I don't think he will. We'll see. But I it was still great.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm glad I know you like Roman, but you like Cody.
Oh yeah, I like Cody, and it was emotional, and it was just so good. Like you said, just even the after with celebrating with everybody, it felt complete to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's been saying it, but he literally is finishing his story, and it literally does feel like the story's done now. So
Yes, and I feel like even with that there are things to look forward to, and what else is to come. So it wasn't as disappointing to me as the Gunther
yes,
story. Even though I'm still excited for that one too, but obviously this main event did not disappoint for me.
no, me neither. Both main events, I can't even talk because that's how good they were. Both main events, though, both WrestleMania nights didn't disappoint at all, and I think that just honestly makes me like really looking forward to what's gonna happen next. Like super excited for what the future holds and the possibilities of what's gonna who's gonna go where and what are they gonna do.
Yes, and we're definitely going to have to talk about that probably next week, and you can give me a little more background on, what happens from here, because it feels hard to have the peak of WrestleMania and then where do we go from here. But I'm definitely looking forward to it, and honestly, you guys, because you watched us last week with our predictions, so I'd love for you to comment, let us know what you think about some of our bad predictions, our good predictions, but also your best moments of WrestleMania. What was most exciting to you?
Yeah, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you, and thank you for supporting, for listening, for watching.
Yes, thank you.
Bella, I love wrestling.
I know.